Hello everyone and welcome to my video. My name's Graeme Moodney and in this short video I'll be outlining the 4 key things that you need to know to make your best man speech go perfectly. Now, let's not play it down. A best man speech is often one of the day's highlights, and this video is going to help you to deliver a top quality speech, whether you're a pro or you're terrified at the thought of it. If you like what you hear in this video, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you think that it's really good, why not visit me via the link below to my Fiverr page, where I can help you to write the speech too. Let's get into it. Here are the 4 key pillars that you need to think about to make your speech go perfectly. They're pretty self-explanatory, but if you get these right, you'll be hitting all the right notes. You need to think about your audience. Who it is that you're speaking to? You need to then make sure that you have the right content and that your content is presented in the right structure. And finally, you need to think about how you're going to deliver the speech to make sure that it has the impact that you want. Right, let's start with the audience. An important thing to remember when you're getting the speech together is to keep in mind that this speech isn't for you. It's for the other people in the room. In this case, it's for the bride and groom and their friends and their family and probably some of your friends too. So this shouldn't be you recounting long stories of old times or include any personal inside jokes. If you find yourself saying, "Remember the time," then you need to think of a different way to tell your story. Whatever you say has to be enjoyable for everyone. I had to watch my brother-in-law say a wildly inappropriate joke at a wedding, at a table that his friends laughed at, while the other 150 people in the room looked at each other in disbelief and confusion. And trust me, you don't need the bride's father trying to explain a sexual innuendo to his 90-year-old parent over dessert. If you work on the basis that you'd be embarrassed telling the story to anyone in the room one-on-one, it needs to be left out of the speech. Think about your audience and how you're going to woo them. By all means, push the boundaries, but keep thinking about your audience, and when it comes to any particular moments that you think might be pushing a boundary, try not to be overly personal with those in the room. Either talk in general terms or be a little bit self-deprecating about yourself. It'll disarm people and get them on your side. And finally, be clear and concise. The guests won't thank you for long, rambling stories that give you lots of detail. You need to hit them with the punchline, take the applause, and move on. So now that we've discussed the audience, let's move on to the content. And admittedly, this is often where it can get difficult. When I write speeches for people, I use standardized templates to gather information, like how did the bride and groom meet, the groom's jobs, your relationship to the groom, and any embarrassing stories, amongst other things. From that, you can usually get some really good content. And if I were you, I'd start by writing some of this down, and once you have, you'll soon have 5 or 6 short stories that you can get into really great shape. Add in your introduction, a toast, some thank yous, and telling everyone how great they look, which will go down well, and you'll have a top quality speech. I'll get on how to tell stories in a second, but first, think about your introduction. You need to quickly captivate the audience and get them listening to you. You could do it with a great one-liner, or even get some audience participation. You could say something like, "Show of hands, who here knows Alex?" Great. Well, my job today is to tell you the real story and not the lies he's been telling everyone that make him sound respectable enough to be worthy of marrying the beautiful Jane. This does a few things. It gets the guests to participate by raising their hand, it has a bit of humour, and it helps to keep some of the attention on the bride. It's her day after all. Now, I said that I'd tell you how to do stories during the speech. Telling stories can be hard, so here's how to do it. In terms of stories, think about the delivery. You need a short intro to the story, something to captivate the guest's imagination, something like, "Not many of you will know this about Bobby, but he's actually a keen dancer." That builds some intrigue, right? You then need to follow this up with a few sentences that provide some context, like this. "He actually sees himself as a bit of a break dancer. In fact, I found this out to my horror at a house party way back in 2002, where like most Saturday nights, we were in town trying to show off, when Bobby decided, totally unprompted I might add, to start breakdancing and doing a move which he called the helicopter, and that the staff at the local hospital call the finger breaker." This builds a bit more interest with some context. The next step is an interesting point or punchline, and I like to follow up with a little comment if it's appropriate. Something like this. "Unfortunately, Bobby is the kind of person who likes to take things literally. And once getting down on all fours, arms and legs everywhere, Bobby appeared to go off balance a little bit before getting up and telling me that he thought he might have broken his actual thumb. Now, who does that? Needless to say, that night finished early with a trip to the emergency room. So I have one ask of you all here this evening, and that is to remain on high alert. It's a public service announcement of sorts. If anyone sees Bobby looking like he's getting anywhere close to the dance floor while any late 90s dance songs start, please, for the sake of Bobby's dignity, and to stop us having to end the party early, please inform me or a member of the bridal party so we can prevent any further disasters. And that's it. A short story, not offensive but entertaining. A few of these and you'll be great. And once you know what you're going to say and who you're going to say it to, you need to make sure that you structure your speech properly. Don't worry, this part's easy. First off, introduce yourself. Not everyone will know who you are, and it's a common thing that people miss. Next, comment on the day, why you're there, and any thanks that need to be made. Then you can start with some of the stories that we mentioned earlier. There's no limit on the number, however many you feel necessary to tell your story. You should do these in chronological order though, so that it makes sense to people and they can come on that journey with you. Start off with how you met the groom and the adventure that you've been on together. Then finish off by addressing the guests, telling them that you're almost done, how much of a privilege it is to be there, and something heartfelt to the groom. Finally, a toast, however you want to end it. I told you the structure was simple. The final thing I'm going to mention is delivery. First of all, relax. Everyone in the room is on your side and you're in a safe environment. So if you mess up or lose your thoughts at any stage, don't worry. Just take a minute, gather your thoughts and start again. Trust me, if what you have to say is interesting, people won't remember the 10 seconds you look trying to remember what you were going to say. Next, there's a famous saying. People won't remember what you said, they'll remember how you made them feel. So keep this in mind when you're thinking about what you're going to say. How do you want people to feel as you stand centre stage? Remember that the day it's really about love and affection, so your speech should have a number of touching moments alongside a good dose of comedy. And finally, if you want to land your speech well, practice it. Get comfortable with the words, read them out loud when you practice, don't just say them in your head. When I'm on stage, there's two things I do. I record myself saying the speech over and over again and I listen to it. And secondly, I always know the first 2 or 3 sentences off by heart. I feel that doing that makes me feel more comfortable and confident and sets me up for the rest of the speech. And that's it. The 4 things to think about when you're giving a speech. If you're still struggling or you want some help with the actual words, get yourself over to my Fiverr page. The link is in the comments for the detail below, and I'd be delighted to work with you to make sure that your speech is a massive success. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.